crafty friends, I'm Lien and I'm so happy you're joining me again today on the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. Now today is a super special day, so I'm extra happy you're here with me. It is Bindu's birthday. Bindu is the owner and the wonderful human behind Crafty Meraki, and we had to celebrate. So the whole design team is doing a hop to celebrate her birthday, and I'll leave all the details about that in the description below. So make sure you check that out because there is a giveaway attached as well. So happy birthday to Bindu, and let's get on with making this card now. I am using the special delivery stamp set by Crafty Meraki, and I'm working on a mini slimline sized panel. Now, if I had thought a little bit ahead, I would have made this a little bit larger, this panel, so I could tape it down to my work surface. Instead, I put some temporary adhesive along the back, but that doesn't really prevent warping or anything, and I will do a lot of very wet watercoloring, so this isn't the best option. If you're doing anything like this, make your panel a little bit larger so you can tape it down onto your work surface. Now I stamped this gorgeous flower in Versafine Onyx black ink and embossed it with Wow Clear Gloss Superfine embossing powder, and that way I can be sure that my lines will stand out nicely even after all of the watercoloring is done. Before I added any paint to this flower, I added water to the entire panel because I'm going for a very loose watercolor look, so I want my colors to go outside of the lines and blend into the background a little bit. And that's also why I adhered this panel to a separate piece of, this is a laminated piece of cardstock. If you're doing this at home and you're using a heat tool, make sure you don't use this. This was a bad idea because this will warp if I use a heat tool on it too long, and I will be using my heat tool to dry it along the way. But usually I have a piece of board, just some chipboard, laying around where I can tape these pieces to, but my temporary adhesive wasn't sticking to that. So again, just make sure your panel is larger than you intended it to be, so you can tape it down to a work surface and trim the edges off later. That's usually what I do. I completely spaced out when cutting this panel. I'm working on Canson Montval 200 GSM watercolor cardstock. You could use thicker cardstock. I probably should have. There were a lot of mistakes made when cutting this petal, okay? But the painting worked out fine in the end. So along the way, I am making sure to keep everything nice and wet, not too wet. You don't want any color or water to pool on your paper. You just want that sheen of moistness. That's a word everyone loves. You just want a sheen of some liquid on the page. And I just drop in my colors where I want them to, drop in some water to make them flow nicely, and tilt my panel so they can flow where I want them to go, which is downwards. I do mop up the excess at the bottom of the page with just a dry cloth, and that's basically it. There's nothing to this watercolor process. This is the easiest way you can color, and it gives a really nice effect. And it also takes care of your background for you. So obviously I had sped this up, but it was really quick to do. I think I spent 20 minutes painting this, and since that's the most involved piece of my card today, it was well worth it. I did want to add a little bit of splatter to this panel as well, and that will add to that loose watercolor look. I added the splatter over everything, even over my focal image, but I will dab it away so it's a little bit more subtle. You can still notice it in real life, but it's just not as noticeable as it is in the background. To add a little something to this card, I added a frame. I love to do that, especially with loose watercolor pieces, because it gives a little bit of structure to the entire card design. So I die cut this frame with the frame-worthy mini slimline dies, and I did that by cutting the largest die and then centering the middle die on top of the panel that was cut out, and that leaves me with a really thin frame. So I basically die cut a rectangle from a rectangle and saved the negative space, so the frame space. Now I want to add gold to this frame, and I am doing that with embossing powder. I pressed this frame into a Versamark ink pad, so any clear embossing ink pad will work for this. And then I'm sprinkling Wow Ultra High Gold embossing powder on top of this, and I heat set that, then covered it again with Versamark ink. We'll sprinkle it again with embossing powder, and this will give me a really nice raised metallic look. And it will also fade out into the white a little bit more organically. So I did that 3 times to get a really nice raised embossed look, and then I can put my card together. I glued that watercolor panel down onto a top folding white mini slimline note card. Now I realize not everyone has paper that is large enough to cut a top folding mini slimline card base from. I happen to have it, but if you don't, you can just cut two mini slimline pieces. Just make sure one is longer than the other and make a score line in there. So you can adhere it with the score line to the other one, and that will create a nice flap. I will actually link to a video that Preeti did on this channel where she made a mini slimline card base that way. I'm also using the Meraki Sparkle gemstones for this. I'm using 2 colors. I forgot their names. I'm really bad at product names. I will list them in the description below. I think this is the Purple Dream and the Emerald, but I'm not sure. I am using my favorite ways to add gems, which is as a splattering of gems, and it works best if you also have splatter on your card. This way, when you look at the card head on, you don't see the gems as gems, they just seem to be sparkle, and then when you tilt it in the light, you see that they're gems, and it's really pretty. For my envelope, I folded one out of purple cardstock, just a pale purple that I thought fit the card nicely, and I will stamp on this as well. So I'm just assembling this envelope with the Barely Art Precision Craft glue, and then I can move on to stamping. I'm stamping that large flower from the special delivery stamp set on there with Versamark ink, but again, you can use any clear embossing ink. And I will emboss this with a purple glitter embossing powder. This is the Velvet by Wow. It is gorgeous. It has so much sparkle in it, and it's a really pretty purple as well. So that's it, all heat set. It is glossy and sparkly and just so pretty. I also forgot to mention the sentiment. It is from the Perfect Sentiments stamp set by Pinkfresh Studio. I have a bunch of these pre-made, but I will list all the products in the description below. And that's it. That's a happy birthday card for Bindu. I really hope you liked the card, and I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. I also hope you celebrate Bindu's birthday with us by helping along on Instagram. And again, there is a giveaway, so make sure you check that out too. And another thing going on Instagram today is the Instagram Live. I will be going live every Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, so make sure you come and visit. I would love to craft with you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.